All right, Bobby Lee here with Hurricane Creek Farms, coming to you here on a warm Sunday afternoon. But want to go through our breakdown of how we did on our stocker steers this spring. It's always one of our more popular videos. Everybody wants to know, hey, you know, we watched you do this all spring long. How did you do? We sold them, I guess as I stand here today recording this, 6 days ago, shipped them a week ago today. But kind of go through it all. We purchased 52 head. I believe it was the first group was on March 4th, had another group on March the 19th. Paid $1,815 per head for them. All these numbers are price per head. That was at, I think by the time we averaged out both groups, like at 585 pounds. So that's including our trucking, everything to get them here when they got off the, set foot on our place. We had $1,815 per head in them. I'll skip over to vet, typically within just a day or two. All our vet cost wasn't up front, but most of it was. That was our vaccine, our dewormer, hitting them with a dose of Ferapes. We BVD tested them, which really the only thing our cost there is just shipping those samples to the state lab. I don't know what else I'm leaving out. Ralgrow, little things like that. Give us our $30 a head. Feed cost, $150 a head. That was our mineral. But then also one thing we really did different this year, because we turned them a lot quicker. We had them, I guess, right at 4 months. We pushed feed to them. Feed is cheap right now. Commodity prices, apologies to all my crop farming family and friends. Commodity prices are not good, they're bad. Corn is cheap, feed is cheap. We fed them at a rate of about 1% of their body weight per day. And it was a pain in the butt because I don't have a feed box on the truck or anything like that, but we did it. That was kind of my morning workout, was the way I looked at it. But yeah, accumulated about $150 per head in feed cost. Our livestock risk protection, our LRP insurance, $18 per head. That's basically just some price protection, makes it a little easier for us to sleep at night. Market's been really good, it got even better. That insurance won't pay. That was, just, our way of hedging in case, something wild did happen that caused the market to really tank and we didn't, totally lose everything. Interest, that's always the one I hate the most. $42 per head is what it is. Yeah, that was what, well, I just transferred about $94,000 that we had to transfer immediately after we got our check for selling them to pay that off. Yeah, 1,815 times 52 head, yeah. Now, a lot of you that watch the channel are like, whoa, I thought you sold 72, you only bought 52, how does that work? Well, yeah, that'd be really nice if we could somehow have them, you just appear out of thin air. But we did actually have 7 head that we had bought way back in November that I didn't really include just in these numbers. We also had 13 head that we were home raised. But, just breaking it down per head seems to be the easiest way to do this. So, what did we sell them for? My note here. So our selling price across the board was $2,410 per head. I believe they averaged $737. We were pretty ecstatic. Which I guess, yeah, what we'll really get down to, our profit was $355 per head. Yeah, I'm smiling this year. Last year I was not smiling when I did this video. Yeah, fantastic. And that would have been, again, of course, everything. When we sold them, and I could look at my exact ticket, we had some that were a lot bigger. They kind of split them up and bunched them up with some other groups to make full truckloads. We had over a full truckload, 53,000 pounds and some change. But no doubt, those that we bought back in November weighed like 350 pounds. You know, we paid just a little over $1,000 a head for them, even though they were probably some of these lighter ones that we sold that pulled that average down to 737. We probably made more per head on them. You know, and certainly the homegrown ones probably did the best on them of any of them. Some of our homegrown ones were really big. They would have been in some of those bigger ones. Yeah, we always look at this and say, all right, what could we have done better? What did we really like that we did? Starting out with what we really liked, true to the luck we've had the last few years, and I need to run over and knock on a tree, knock on some wood, no death loss. Obviously that's key. Of all of us, my brother had one that lightning strike got hit, but out of just mine that I'm including in these numbers here, 0 death loss. I really think, you know, after last year those heifers, and they just didn't gain weight very well, but in talking to some other people too, especially with feed prices cheap as it is right now, and especially relative to cattle prices, they're like, push that feed to them. You know, feed them 1% of the body weight per day. You know, in the past, we've barely given them enough to even matter. It's just enough to keep them coming to a feed bunk. And so we did that. I think that really paid off. Obviously, that drove that number up quite a bit, but it paid off. They gained weight. You know, we wouldn't have been able to. In the past, we have bought them in spring, not sold them till fall. I mean, even late fall some years. You know, we turned them in about 2/3 to half the time that we normally would have. I think we will continue to do that as long as prices are where they are for both feed and cattle. No reason not to just go ahead and feed them like we did. You know, where could we cut cost? I really don't know. I mean, obviously the interest. If we ever, you know, had enough money in the bank to buy cattle like that and not have to borrow a dime, that'd be nice. You know, also if I had $100,000 just sitting there in the bank, I don't know. Pretty good return here though. So I don't know that I, you know, you joke about, you know, would I really want to be messing with cattle if I had money like that? Well, I probably still would. You know, buying calves, you know, I almost wish I bought more last fall like I did. They probably could have bought those a little bigger. They were no doubt, because we bought these, they were, what I say, 585 pounds. Those that we bought in November, no more than we had fed them through the winter. There's no way that they were the smaller ones to begin with. So maybe buying more. I think our plan right now, because it's only July, let the pastures, even though the pastures are in great shape, it's hot right now. Plan, if I had to decide today, I would say maybe around September, buy some more, keep them into maybe, you know, just after the first of the year. We're going to take our calves that were born last fall here at home, get them weaned, take them up there here just in the next couple of weeks, buy a group that can kind of match up with them, take advantage of that. But yeah, it was a good year, a good spring anyway. That's easily the best I've ever done on a group. You know, in the past, we always said we figured we needed to make $100 a head just to make it worth our time. Because that's one thing I didn't factor in here is, you know, my labor or any pasture rent. So somebody that's having to rent pasture, take that into account. We stocked them at about one head per acre, you know, of open grass. We could have stocked them denser than that, especially the way we were pushing feed to them, especially with all the rain we had this spring. It just really came down to logistics, me being able to carry that much feed to them. You know, say if we'd had 100 head, you know, that's that much more feed I'd have had to carry every day, that much more risk. Two, I didn't have the money. I think we just about maxed out our line of credit to buy these. Obviously, we could have probably called and you know, asked for more money, that kind of thing. But yeah, so if you were kind of looking at this, seeing how you can make it work on your operation, you may need to factor in, you know, your pasture rent for that. But anyway, yeah, good year. Any questions, leave them below. Like I say it's a good year. We're planning on going right back into it and having another group, which I don't know. If we buy them in September, we probably won't be selling them technically this year. Be after the first of January, potentially. We don't know. You know, things change by the minute. markets change. This is not my full-time gig, something we do on the side for fun. And it's definitely a lot more fun when you've got, you can show a pretty nice little profit at the end of the year. But we appreciate y'all watching. I'm gonna actually try to see if I can get these cows to go ahead and move into the next pasture. But y'all keep checking back with us. Y'all eat beef and God bless.